Humans are humans, people are people. And I always say the rule to get people to see and believe in what matters for your company is to first see and believe what matters to them. You've got to spend time with people, making them matter.
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of Lessons in Leadership. My name is Grant Greef, and I'm really excited for our next guest on this episode. If you haven't heard of her and seen her on LinkedIn, she's been very active, but the CEO of Ocean Basket, Grace Harding. And the thing about Grace that I've really admired and enjoyed following her story thus far is she is offering a different perspective, especially within the hospitality and tourism space when it comes to South Africa. So, Grace, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
So, are you at an Ocean Basket right now?
I'm not. I'm actually at my other favorite place, which is Tasha's.
Oh,
And I do love Natasha. I think she's in Dubai at the moment. So I have sometimes my breakfast with her. We are all part of one community. We all have to support and look after each other.
100% agree. So, Grace, let's start off with just currently right now, what's happening with Ocean Basket? How's everything going thus far? And we'll move from there into more practicalities around your team and from then on.
Well, Ocean Basket and the rest of the restaurant industry has emerged slowly from the mud and the grime of COVID. So it's been an interesting few years. We all know that they say never let a crisis go unnoticed. So we've learned a hell of a lot. We've opened our first restaurant in the UK. We're opening the second one at the end of September. But our focus is really on getting the existing restaurants strong again because there was some neglect. Of course, there was. People couldn't pay for things. Perhaps the equipment wasn't maintained well. But we're on a good road. We had all our franchisees and restaurant managers together last week. We got them together in a room for the first time in 3 years. It was amazing. People were just dying to see each other. So what's happening at Ocean Basket? We're getting stronger. We're focusing on the guests, on the food, on the people, on recalibration. People have been sad and tired over the last 2 years. I feel a little bit like I have to sort of make the engine start again.
One thing that I always find, especially within the hospitality industry, is there's always something new, and change is a given within hospitality and specifically within the restaurant industry. 10 years ago, that's when you started at Ocean Basket, right?
Yeah.
Now, I remember the Ocean Basket before you did the rebranding or the refresh of the brand and the layout. It really looked like it was getting tired, and then I all of a sudden saw this new change in terms of the layout and the brand and really the stunning visualization of your menu. And I was super impressed that as a customer, say 5 years ago. Describe to me what it took or practically what you went through to go through such a significant change in the restaurant brand, because I think changes a lot of the times people don't enjoy it or it's very uncomfortable and we naturally want to go back to a place of comfort.
Yeah.
And especially in the franchise world where your restaurants are owned by other entrepreneurs. And so therefore you have to get their buy-in in addition to your actual employees that you have in your team.
Yeah, I mean, the change thing is quite weird. And people still battle with it. And I think we don't always notice how quickly the world is changing. And the enemy of success is actually success. So if there's a close memory of something having worked, it's so difficult to change it. So what happened is happening now is because there's been so much challenge in terms of COVID and no customers and all of that stuff. The customer has emerged more fussy, more discerning. In South Africa, a lot of the customers have left. So back in 2012, it was actually similar. So Ocean Basket was doing really well. And when I arrived in 2012, they were not doing badly, but they could see that the guests were leaving. Some people were saying, "Oh, is it still so great? It's looking a bit tired." And this has to happen for change to happen. I've never heard of incredible shifts happening in times of success and comfort because our hands are too busy being high fived. So when our hands are stressed, that's when we start to work and we shift from high five to work. So it was a tough process, but the founder of Ocean Basket is really incredible. I mean, most of these guys who start restaurant businesses, they will either list or they will sell or they'll do something like that. And he didn't want to do that. He wanted to rebirth Ocean Basket and keep on rebirthing it so it remains relevant for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And in the beginning, it was tough. I think the toughest thing is not being liked. We all want to be liked. I mean, people can be really horrible to you. And CEOs are just people. I think it's like the day you wake up and you realize that your parents are actually people. And they get sad and they're afraid. And it was bloody scary. I mean, I kicked myself many times, as I do now. And then slowly, some of the people in the business did shift. Most of them didn't shift. The entire executive and leadership team left within 3 years. And then slowly, slowly, I found new people with incredible skills, um, great marketing people, great operations people, great supply chain people. I don't know how to do that work. It wasn't me. It really wasn't me. It was about being guided by an incredible founder and having the tenacity to make it different, to employ more people, to be proud, you know. I didn't want to feel like people phone me and say, I went to Ocean Bath and I go, I'm scared. You know, so everything is a process. And I'm always so worried because from the outside, people think, oh, well, you joined and then you made it all pretty and aren't you so clever? It's not like that. And I'm actually going to write a book when I get my arse into gear that talks about what it feels like when it's not working and when you make mistakes. So along the journey, I stumbled and I fell and I got lots of bruised knees. But I think it's about if you know where you're going and you know what it's going to look like, then you just get up and you keep on going. But you need support. I mean, it's scary alone. You do need the support. And I had a lot of support. So it was an iterative process. You had to find new suppliers, find new creative people. Everything changed. Absolutely everything changed.
How do you get people's buy-in? So when you joined and you had to do
Yeah.
this massive change and implement and execute on this change with within a leadership position like the CEO, right? Where the direction
Mm.
has to be led by you. And what do you practically use to get people to buy in? Is it getting everyone around a table and sharing a PowerPoint presentation or Google slide, or is it going to the stores, or going to the restaurants and actually showcasing in a very one-on-one or very small group type of way? If someone is listening to this right now and they've got a team, even if it's a 5-person or 100-person team that they're leading,
Mm.
what they do to practically then get people's buy-in if they have to do a change in their team organization?
Okay, so first you must remember that before Ocean Basket, I had my own business for 15 years and I had a small team of 12 people. So I really feel for the entrepreneur, the specialist who's thought, wow, I'm going to start my own thing. Leading is a skill in itself. And it's like any relationship, you know, you're not going to meet someone, persuade them to marry you and get married in a week. Everything requires time. Everything requires patience. So it's a drip process. Even now, I'm driving the next leap of change. And it's not easy because the people I'm driving it with were the ones who created this incredible success. So imagine now, you know, everything you created was so amazing. And now I'm saying, okay, this is the next step. This is how it's got to feel. And some of what you say cannot be flexible. So that's also difficult is to be able to say, this part of the direction is inflexible. Within that, I want to hear what you think about that. Otherwise, you create chaos. So it's not about PowerPoint. It's about individual conversations. It's about group conversations. It's about regrouping. It's about phoning again and again and again. Because I can tell you something today, and I'll phone you tomorrow and say, what are you thinking about what I told you? And you know how often the person will say, what did you tell me? Because we're busy. So everything is a process. You can't magically have change. We can sit now and look back at the transformation of Ocean Basket. It took us 5 years. And today we still have about 15 restaurants that are still in the old look. So it's a slow process, but you've got to choose where you put the energy. So it's about choosing where do you go first and how do you take people with you. And then sometimes if people struggle, you just got to keep at it. And you may get to a point where you say, I love and respect you. And because I have to accomplish this, I'm not struggling with you anymore. So make a decision, play or don't play. And that's really, really tough. But you've got to be focused on the goal, eye on the prize, as that lady said in the Willy Wonka movie. Eye on the prize, Violet.
If we then move to boundaries, like you mentioned now, where unfortunately, especially within a leadership position, many times you will be in a space where people do not like you or they don't like the decision that you've made. Can be a minority in the team, but it still affects and it still reaches you in that role. When you have to set that boundary where people need to choose whether they're going to jump in with 2 feet or they're actually just going to exit. Talk me through that type of conversation that you'll have with someone where you're sitting with them, you can see they're not buying in, they're not interested, they're ultimately not going to give their best version of themselves within the team. Therefore, that's going to really make sure that it pulls down the momentum. What is that conversation that you typically have with someone where they actually need to exit the team or they need to exit the business?
It's a process. I think it's like any relationship. You don't go to sleep today, cross with your husband or wife, and then wake up and get divorced tomorrow. So I think the job of a leader is to uphold the culture and to be focused on the strategies. And it's a very repetitive job. I mean, when I go home, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't even want to go out for dinner with people. I don't want to talk to anybody except for my family. So it's about constantly being repetitive. But when you get to a point where it isn't working, you just have to say it and say, over the last few months, this is how we've been trying to work. This is what I am experiencing. I'm experiencing that when I say X, you say Y, that when I say this, you roll your eyes, and it's not going to work. I'm accountable for what has to happen here. I respect and support all the incredible work you've done. Today, you have to make a choice. Today, you have to make a choice, and you have to commit to that choice. And if you choose to not accept and to not believe in the direction I'm giving, then that's okay. But then you can't stay because you can't have it all. You can't not love me and live with me while shagging someone else. This doesn't work that way. You either got to be here, be cross with me sometimes, only shag me and have a conversation. But I have to say that all leaders, especially running your own business, which is so lonely, you've got to go for therapy. There is not a month that goes past that I am not sitting with my business coach, who is phenomenal. And she works with entrepreneurs and she works with CEOs of businesses, because you need to reflect the whole time, because sometimes your beliefs are unhelpful. You can go down that road of with yourself, and that's also not cool. So you've got to be kept honest. And very often I will include my coach in our team conversations just as an observer. And then afterwards, she'll say to me, Grace, you don't listen here. You didn't let that one finish. Just back down. Because it's like any jobs. If you look at coaches in sports, They replay that shot over and over again. Do you play golf?
I've got golf clubs, so I
Okay.
attempt to play
I'm
golf.
not a golfer, but I always use the golf example because, you play a game and they show you the video over and over again. Same with rugby. I mean, I was very lucky to have Rassi at a conference that we had last week. He's an incredible man. And what do? They watch the game. Then they look, what did you do? What did you do? What did you do? It's the same with being a leader. This weird notion that CEO type people, they know everything and they're always in control and everything is fine. No, it's not. It's terrifying. Sometimes you're not sure, and sometimes you're a dick.
So if we then look at a management level or at a leadership level, I've always heard that how you absorb the pressure and how whether you try to deflect it to the rest of your team. And as a leader, like you said, it gets lonely, it's tough. And are you an advocate whereby focus on making sure that you channel as much pressure and tension as possible to, say, the leadership team, and then organize that in such a way where you can create more clarity and not necessarily too much uncertainty or disruption for the rest of the team? What's your view on that?
Yeah, I think every leader in the team has his or her own pressure. I mean, I think you must own your own pressure because everyone is equally pressurized. I mean, if you speak to the people on my team, my executives, I mean, I irritate them. So I don't want to give them more pressure. Um, it's important. That's why it's important to have a coach. That's why it's important for people to watch how you are playing your game because you have to look after yourself. It's a huge responsibility. You've got to make sure you are sound. You have to make sure that you're consistent. And sometimes you panic. I panic sometimes and I'll make a wrong decision. And then I'll sit with people and say, I think that thing I said 3 months ago was like not the right thing. And then people say yes. And then I say, okay, I acknowledge it. But if we've got a culture where people must try things and make mistakes, then that must apply to me too. I can't be exempt from that. So what is interesting is when you're in this kind of job, you're not expected to make a mistake or do the wrong thing, but everybody else can. And you have to be aware of those things. You cannot be moody. You cannot be bad tempered. You cannot have tantrums. It's not going to work. You cannot be like that. You've got to be a contained, together person. You've got to always have a smile on your face. You've always got to be sincere. And is it tough? Yes. But then if it's tough, don't do it.
100% agree. And I think that's where people really miss the plot, where they think that they're supposed to just have all the answers, where in actual fact, a lot of the times it's not necessarily having all the answers, it's just having a consistent approach to handling uncertainty in a way where then it actually creates a lot of stability for others then to help solve that with you instead of you trying to solve it, and keep the tempo at the same rate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so Grace, I'm a big advocate that, and especially in South Africa, everyone needs to, at least for 6 months in their life, especially when they're younger, they need to get involved in hospitality. They need to go be a waiter.
Yeah.
They need to experience what it is like to serve others, because what that teaches you is the fundamentals of engaging with others, especially engaging with strangers or people that you don't necessarily uh, know as well as you would, of say, a friend or family member. Now, in Ocean Basket, you've got a completely diverse mix of people at every different level of skill set, role, and geographic area. How do you lead a team with so much difference in terms of background and diversity? How do you make sure that everyone has a common goal, whereby even if they culturally at home, they possibly do things differently, they know that when they get to work, everyone needs to push toward the same goal instead of trying to create conflict away from the main thing?
Mm. Well, look, most of our restaurants are franchise. That makes it very, very difficult. Um, I view our restaurant people as our people. I don't even think about it that They have a leader who's not me. So the persuasion of the franchisees, like a whole other podcast on its own. But I think the principle of how do you align diverse people with different beliefs to one mission is, first of all, you've got to find people who fundamentally have the same beliefs that you have. And it is difficult. I mean, you're not going to start psychoanalyzing every griller or waiter who walks into a restaurant. But there's got to be a feeling of, is this person naturally hospitable? Does this person care about others? And we make mistakes. It's really not an easy thing. At a more senior level, or with our operations team, let's say, who are also very diverse. And we have people in many countries, not only in South Africa. I mean, the staff who work in the Dubai restaurant, a lot of them are Filipinos or from Pakistan, and they are so obedient. Now, our culture is not like that. We believe in speaking up and having a view, and they just like doing, yeah, yes, Grace, yes, Grace. So those things are difficult. But I think humans are humans, people are people. And I always say the rule to get people to see and believe in what matters for your company is to first see and believe what matters to them. You've got to spend time with people, making them matter, seeing them. So often I'll leave a restaurant and I'll phone the owner and say, oh my gosh, you know, did you know I met a woman yesterday? She's supporting 12 people. She works in one of our restaurants, 12 people. And all she said to me is, Grace, I want to learn from you. How did you become the CEO? And I said to her, no, Lindy, I want to learn from you. How do you support 12 people? How do you come to work beautiful and happy and positive and determined? So it's very simple. You got to give a shit about others. If you give a shit about others, they're going to be curious about what you have to say. I don't believe in the whole thing of, well, in my house, I don't have windows, so I don't know what a clean window is. And I've never done this. I don't believe in that at all. I don't. You've got to embrace people. You've got to listen and care about their lives. And then they come towards you. No one's going to come towards you if you're standing there and saying, okay, here's my PowerPoint and everyone must do this. You need people to go, oh, lean in. We're so pressurized to get things done. What we don't realize is to get things done, we need to be with people. There's no tick box. That's what it's about.
I mean, they always say that just always view people where they're just wearing a massive sign and on their head saying like, make me feel important, because, everyone wants to feel important. Everyone wants to belong to a team or some sort of bigger mission, bigger than what they can do by themselves as an individual. So if you think then in terms of the entire team across Ocean Basket, we sit in an environment where you've got your say your office team, and then you've got this overall level of culture, values that you're doing your best to live by practicing them. But isn't it true that also within teams, big teams and even small teams, there are like these subcultures that happen? So for example, every franchisee has their own kind of culture, even though it's for the most part going to be aligned with, hopefully with that intention aligned into the overall team culture, or let's call it the culture of Ocean Basket. There is a process where subcultures form. What is your, experience with seeing that happen?
I think that we've got to be careful with words. So subculture makes me a bit nervous, but the expression of the culture in a way that resonates with others is what you want, because you don't want to be cookie cutter. So if we say we're really warm and welcoming, I warm and welcome you in a very different way to the way my colleague does. So when we were working in our restaurant in Bromley a few weeks ago in London, I like almost run up to people and welcome them. And I love the children. And my colleague always says to me, Grace, you're going to terrify people. And people love that. And then when he welcomes them, he says, hi, it's so lovely to see you. So it's about allowing for the relevant and personal expression of who you are. But subculture, oh no, then I'm in there with guns blazing. Subcultures make me a little bit nervous. So you you've got to be so clear about what you expect. I mean, you can't even say, I'm on a mission at the moment with change rooms in the restaurants, where there isn't space for people to sit beautifully, the crew, and have lunch because rent is expensive. But the minimum expectation is that the place where I change and hang my clothes has to be clean. And some of them are not clean. And you've got to be clear. So what I've learned is you can't just say, please make sure that every restaurant has got a clean and neat change room, because what that means to you and what it means to me is not the same. So now I'm drawing a picture to say, this is the color, this is where you put the mirror, and this is what it must smell like. So we've got to be so specific. And I think we've become confused over the years because we have to be autocratic or democratic. It's not about that. It's about be specific about how it must be, and then allow people to live and dream within those guardrails. A McDonald's burger can only be one way. There is no other way. Like the Highlander, they can only be one. But within that, so the staff at the McDonald's there are a little bit different to the ones there. People still have their own creativity. They welcome people in their own way, but you don't build a brand by allowing for sub anything, nothing. There is only one way.
And for those moments where like you mentioned earlier, where it really does drain you over time to run a team that, this large as an example, right? Do you have any types of techniques, or do you have ways of really like energizing yourself, re-energizing yourself from this? Because I know you mentioned the coach, which is a great point, because on that note around the coaching side, mentoring coaching is the fact that we, like, especially from what I've seen and the people that I engage with, is a lot of the times we underappreciate how much investment we should be making in our development. And the best way to do that is investing, in a coach or someone that actually is going to be objective with you and is going to hold you accountable as you go through this. So from your point of view, what have you found to be the kind of techniques that help just re-energize yourself as well?
So number one, you have to know yourself. So I come from a background where my mother was very, very ill mentally. And I know that I'm predisposed to, let's say, being anxious. So I watch myself. I make sure that I'm okay. If I'm not okay, I must take my pills. Nothing wrong with it. We have to accept these things. We have to be verbal about it. Like we're verbal and we're accepting of people who are binary or people who are theys or whatever it is. We have to be accepting. Number two, you got to exercise. It's critical to exercise. Eat properly. Don't drink too much. I mean, you got to drink a lot of wine. It's a prerequisite, but you got to look after yourself because you will make yourself ill. And then the thing about balance, I'm very bad at it. I do think it's important. That is one of my weaknesses. I battle to switch my mind off, but I do have my downtime. And my downtime is my family. I sit alone. I love to go to the bush. I love the sea. Um, it's like anything. I mean, sports coaches, I mean, how do they do it? Or sports people, I mean, how do they do it? You've got to look after yourself. Healthy mind, healthy body, read interesting things. But it's difficult, when I get asked to speak at these conferences about having balance and woman and this and that, there's no balance. The way to describe life is it's like a mess. It's messy. I have children. They're okay. Would they have been better if I would have taken them to school? My boss, the founder of Ocean Basket, we actually employed me. One said to me, Grace, you're a terrible mother. You're never home. I said to him, but what do you mean? He says, well, you don't fetch and take your children to school. I said, that's not a mother. That's a driver. So I don't know. How do you do it? Just be conscious. Get sleep. Look after yourself. And when you're young, I'm 57. So I think the great thing about being older is you do need a little bit more sleep. Although they say you need less, I need more. But I think the danger is when you're young, in your 30s, and you've got all that energy. you must be careful. You can burn yourself out and get really sick.
Well, to that point around balance, to be blunt, I do not believe that there's such a thing called balance at any point in time. I think that we have to make sure that we understand what are our priorities at a point in time, because
Mm.
yes, over your lifetime, you will have, say, balance over a lifetime,
Yeah.
but at a point in time, say you've just started a new job or say you've just had a baby. Well, there's certain priorities that then start mixing, and I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned as well is like just be very clear and be very mindful of what your priorities are and how they shift over points in time. And like you say, be very clear in terms of making sure that there's boundaries in place to not burn out then and for example, exercise on a weekend. If the week went out of hand.